Stand up right now. Go ahead, I mean it. Just for a second, push yourself up from that chair, feel the weight of your body on your feet, and just stand tall. While you're standing there, I want you to pay close attention to the miracle happening inside you. Your heart is beating, your blood is pulsing, and your arteries are quietly, heroically doing their job to keep you alive. But here is the thing that almost nobody realizes, and it's something your doctor might not have the time to explain in a 10-minute checkup. After you cross the age of 55 or 60, your arteries are simply not as resilient or as springy as they once were. Most people live under a very dangerous illusion. They believe that clogged arteries are something that happens suddenly, like a bolt of lightning hitting a tree. They think one day you are perfectly fine, and the next day you are hit with a heart attack or a stroke that flips your entire world upside down. But that is not how the human body works. In reality, clogged arteries are a slow, silent, and methodical process that develops over 20, 30, or even 40 years. There are no alarms. There is no sharp pain to warn you. There are no red lights flashing on your dashboard saying, "Pay attention now." It is a silent buildup that happens in the dark, beneath the surface, until one day, a life-changing event occurs. A heart attack that lands you in the emergency room, a stroke that changes how you move your arm or how your words come out, or perhaps most heartbreaking of all, you find yourself sitting in a quiet doctor's office hearing those heavy words. I really wish we had caught this earlier so we could have done more to head it off. Those words sit heavy in the air, don't they? I'm Dr. Michael Kent, and for more than 30 years, I have made it my life's work to sit down with people just like you, folks in their 60s, 70s, and older, and help them protect their hearts in gentle, natural ways that actually support what the body is already trying to do. What if I told you there is one straightforward thing you can add right into your regular meals, not some expensive pill, not a scary procedure, but actual food on your plate, that solid, peer-reviewed science says can start helping your body take better care of those arteries, and it can begin working from the very next time you sit down to eat? The best part is that this is not one of those harsh, all or nothing diets that make you miserable or force you to give up every single thing that tastes good or that you share with your family during the holidays. It doesn't cost an arm and a leg at the grocery store, and you can still enjoy the meals that make you smile. Stick with me here, because by the time we are finished today, you will have a clear, step-by-step picture of exactly what to put on your plate, why those specific foods make such a massive difference inside your body, and how to do it safely, especially when you are over 60 and want to move carefully with any new habit. Before we go any further, I want to clear up a massive misconception that even some medical professionals get wrong. When people hear the phrase clogged arteries, they almost always picture old kitchen pipes packed solid with years of built-up grease, thick, sticky stuff that just suddenly stops everything. That image is only about 10% of the story, and honestly, it's the least important part. What really starts the trouble is not the grease itself, but a process called long-term systemic inflammation inside the artery walls. Imagine the inner lining of your artery, which doctors call the endothelium. When this lining is healthy, it is smoother than silk, allowing blood to glide along with zero resistance. But when you have chronic inflammation, it is like someone is taking a piece of rough sandpaper to that silk lining every single day. Once that lining gets scratched, scuffed, and rough, little particles of cholesterol that are floating in your blood start sticking to those hurt spots. They aren't trying to hurt you, they are actually trying to patch the wound. But then calcium starts to pile on top of that cholesterol like hard, brittle cement. The whole area thickens, the artery gets narrower, the walls get stiffer, and your blood has a much harder time getting through smoothly. This whole slow grinding process is called atherosclerosis because it builds so gradually, you usually don't notice a single thing until a big problem shows up. But here is the encouraging news. Your body is not a helpless machine. You really can slow that buildup way down, and in many cases, you can even help stabilize and undo a portion of the damage that is already there, but only if you stop giving fuel to the inflammation that is driving the whole thing forward. That is precisely why the meal approach we are discussing today matters more than almost anything else you can do. To truly understand why your arteries change, we have to look at the hidden layer of your blood vessels that most people have never heard of, the glycocalyx. Imagine a microscopic forest of tiny hair-like structures that line the inside of every single artery in your body. This forest acts as a protective barrier, a sort of biological Teflon that keeps cholesterol and toxins from ever touching the actual wall of the artery. When you are young, this forest is thick and lush. But as we age, and especially when we eat a diet high in sugar and processed oils, this forest gets mowed down. Once the glycocalyx is thin or gone, your arteries are left naked and vulnerable to damage. This is where the real clogging starts. By focusing on anti-inflammatory foods, we aren't just lowering a number on a lab report. We are literally regrowing the protective forest inside our veins. This is the level of detail that modern science is finally uncovering, and it confirms that the grease in a pipe theory was missing the most important part of the puzzle. When you reach your 60s or 70s, four key biological changes happen that hit your arteries particularly hard. The first change is that ongoing arterial inflammation we just mentioned. Picture your arteries like a flexible garden hose that you use to water your garden. When the inside is nice and clean, the water flows in a perfect, steady stream, but chronic inflammation roughs up that inner surface, like moss or algae building up inside the hose, so the flow gets choppy and turbulent. This turbulence creates more friction, which creates more heat and more damage, which then attracts more plaque. It is a vicious cycle. A huge study from Harvard University kept track of more than 5,000 adults for 15 full years and discovered that measuring inflammation levels predicted who would have a heart attack far better than just looking at cholesterol numbers by themselves. You might be sitting there thinking, but Dr. Kent, I've heard that low-fat diets and statin pills are supposed to fix all of this. The truth is that while those things can help with some parts of the picture, they often don't touch the root cause of the inflammation. So the problem just keeps simmering underneath like a fire in the walls of a house. The second change you need to understand is oxidative stress combined with plaque that becomes unstable. This is a concept that is life-saving if you grasp it. You see, not all plaque is the same. Some plaque is hard and calcified. It's like a rock. While it narrows the artery, it's actually relatively safe because it's stable, but other plaque is soft and fragile. Imagine a very thin sheet of ice stretched over a deep pond. One small bump, one spike in blood pressure, or one burst of inflammation, and that thin sheet of ice cracks open. When that soft plaque ruptures, your body tries to heal the cut by forming a massive blood clot instantly. That clot is what causes the sudden heart attack or stroke. What weakens that fragile cap on the plaque is oxidative stress, basically damage from free radicals that act like tiny, microscopic sparks wearing your tissues down. These free radicals are produced by pollution, stress, and poor quality food. Researchers at Johns Hopkins followed about 2,400 older adults and found that the people who got more antioxidants through their food had a 52% lower chance of that dangerous plaque breaking open. Antioxidants act like little shields that calm those free radicals and help keep your plaque hard and stable so it stays exactly where it belongs. The third change is a significant drop in nitric oxide production. Nitric oxide is a wonderful, tiny molecule that your blood vessels produce to help them relax and open wider. Think of it like a drop of high-quality oil on a squeaky, stiff door hinge. Without enough of it, everything gets tight, rigid, and hard to move. As we get older, our bodies naturally lose the ability to manufacture nitric oxide efficiently. By the time you are 70, you might be producing 75% less than you did when you were 20. This is why your blood pressure tends to creep up as you age. Your arteries are literally stuck in a constricted or tight position, and your heart has to work twice as hard to push blood through them. But scientists in Barcelona ran a study showing that people who followed a specific Mediterranean-style way of eating for only 4 weeks saw their nitric oxide levels jump up by 30%. Their arteries became noticeably more flexible and younger in less than a month. That is a quick and incredibly encouraging change that comes from food alone, not from a laboratory. The fourth change that sneaks up on so many of us is blood sugar spikes after meals combined with growing insulin resistance. A lot of folks in their later years don't connect the dots between what they ate for lunch and what is happening in their arteries 2 hours later. But every time your blood sugar shoots up fast, it is like dumping corrosive chemicals onto delicate silk. The tiny damage adds up quietly over time. Those spikes cause your body to pump out extra insulin, and extra insulin is like a signal that tells your artery walls to grow thicker and stiffer. Have you noticed tingling or numbness in your feet sometimes? Or that heavy, overwhelming, tired feeling that hits you an hour or two after a meal? Maybe your blood pressure numbers have been edging higher even though you are trying to watch your salt. These are signs that your insulin is struggling to keep up. When insulin is constantly high, it blocks your body's ability to clean out its arteries. It's like a lock on the cellular door that prevents repair. Let me share a story about someone I worked with named Margaret. She was 67 years old when she first walked into my office, and she had that look of deep worry that I see on so many faces. Heart trouble ran in her family. Her father had passed away far too young, and her recent ultrasound had picked up the early signs of plaque buildup in her carotid arteries. She told me, "Dr. Kent, I feel mostly okay. I can still tend my garden. I walk to the mailbox. I play with my grandkids. So why is this showing up now? Am I just destined to end up like my dad?" Her blood pressure was running around 146/88. Her cholesterol was in that borderline zone, but her inflammation markers were very high. We didn't overhaul her entire life overnight. Instead, we started her on the HEART protocol, a dietary and lifestyle framework targeting inflammation, oxidative stress, and blood sugar regulation. After 8 weeks, she came back in. Her blood pressure had come down to a beautiful 128/78 without adding any new medications. Her inflammation markers had dropped by 36%. But the best part was her face. She looked lighter. She told me the mental cobwebs were gone, and she had the energy to chase her grandkids around the yard again without getting winded. Then there was George, 72 years old. George was the ultimate rule follower. For 20 years, he had eaten a low-fat, low-cholesterol diet. He skipped the eggs, he skipped the red meat, he ate the healthy, whole wheat bread and the low-fat margarine. And yet his latest scan showed that his plaque was still progressing. He was devastated. He told me, "I feel like I've failed, even though I did everything they told me to do." I explained to George that by cutting out healthy fats and replacing them with processed carbs and inflammatory vegetable oils, he was actually feeding the fire. We gently shifted his eating toward the Mediterranean pattern, adding back the healthy oils and the fatty fish. 2 months later, his scan showed that his plaque had finally stabilized. It had stopped growing. His triglycerides dropped from 220 to 160, and his good HDL cholesterol went up by 15%. George started carrying himself with pride again. He told his golf buddies that he finally felt like he was doing something active to help his heart, instead of just crossing his fingers and hoping for the best. We also have to talk about vitamin K2, a nutrient that is often missing from the modern senior diet. Think of vitamin K2 as a traffic cop for calcium. Without enough K2, the calcium you eat or take in supplements doesn't know where to go. It ends up getting lost and settling in your soft tissues, like your arteries, instead of your bones. This is how arteries become calcified or hard like stone. When you follow the HEART protocol and include specific foods like certain cheeses or fermented options, you provide the body with the K2 it needs to pull that calcium out of your vessel walls and put it back into your skeletal system where it belongs. This is one of the most exciting areas of research in geriatric cardiology today. The idea that we can actually decalcify our vascular system by directing minerals to their proper destination. Step 5 of the protocol is to include fatty fish in your diet at least twice a week. I'm talking about salmon, sardines, mackerel, or anchovies. These fish are essentially vessel medicine because they are packed with high-quality omega-3 fats, specifically EPA and DHA. These fats are like the ultimate fire extinguishers for arterial inflammation. They also help your body produce more nitric oxide so your vessels can relax. A study published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition found that people who ate these fats consistently saw a 380% improvement in their arterial flexibility in just 12 weeks. If you really don't like the taste of fish, you can look into high-quality, purified fish oil capsules, but please talk to your doctor first, especially if you are on blood thinners like warfarin, because omega-3s are very effective at keeping your blood smooth and slippery. When choosing fish, always try to go for wild-caught options, as they have a much better balance of fats than farm-raised fish, which are often fed grains that can increase inflammation. Step 4 is to fill your plate with colorful, non-starchy vegetables. Think about deep green spinach, peppery arugula, crunchy broccoli, bright red peppers, and ripe tomatoes. These vegetables are loaded with polyphenols and fiber. The fiber is crucial because it literally grabs onto extra cholesterol in your gut and carries it out of your body before it can even enter your bloodstream. But more importantly, these vegetables are rich in natural nitrates. When you chew these veggies, the bacteria in your mouth convert those nitrates into the building blocks for nitric oxide. This is why I always tell my patients, don't use harsh antibacterial mouthwash right after eating your vegetables. You want to keep those good bacteria alive so they can help your heart. Harvard followed 3,000 adults for 10 years and found that those eating 5 or more servings of these vegetables every day had 42% less arterial stiffness. Step 3 is the liquid gold, extra virgin olive oil. This is one of the most powerful heart health tools in existence. It contains oleic acid and a very special antioxidant called hydroxytyrosol. This compound specifically protects your LDL cholesterol from oxidizing. Remember, cholesterol is only truly dangerous when it becomes oxidized or rancid. Olive oil acts like a preservative for your blood vessels. The best way to use it is as a finishing oil. Drizzle it over your vegetables or your fish after they are already cooked. Make sure you buy oil in a dark glass bottle and store it in a cool, dark cupboard because light and heat can destroy those delicate antioxidants. Look for the harvest date on the bottle. The fresher the oil, the higher the antioxidant count. Just 2 tablespoons a day can make a massive difference in how smooth your artery walls stay. Step 2 is to use natural flavor enhancers that do double duty: garlic, turmeric, black pepper, and fresh lemon juice. These aren't just for taste, they are biological modifiers. Garlic has been shown in multiple studies to lower blood pressure and reduce the stiffness of the aorta. It contains allicin, a compound that only forms when you crush or chop the garlic and let it sit for 10 minutes before cooking. Turmeric contains curcumin, which is one of the most powerful natural anti-inflammatories known to man. But remember, you must eat turmeric with a little bit of black pepper to help your body absorb it. Using these herbs and spices allows you to cut back on salt while giving your arteries a steady dose of protection. Crushed garlic, in particular, can lower your inflammation markers by 20 to 30% in just a few months. Step 1 is perhaps the most difficult, but the most important. You must avoid the inflammatory triggers. I'm talking about refined carbohydrates like white bread, sugary cereals, and pastries, as well as industrial vegetable oils like soybean oil, corn oil, and canola oil. These oils are processed with high heat and toxic chemicals like hexane, and they are very high in omega-6 fats, which can trigger massive inflammation if you eat too much of them. When you eat these triggers, it is like trying to put out a fire with one hand while pouring gasoline on it with the other. Swap the white bread for small portions of berries or nuts, and swap the yellow vegetable oils for butter, avocado oil, or olive oil. No supplement in the world can make up for a diet full of these triggers. Think of your body like a high-end luxury car. You wouldn't put cheap, dirty fuel in a Rolls-Royce, so don't put inflammatory fuel in your heart. When you bring all 5 of these steps together, your body starts to shift from a state of defense to a state of healing. It is a beautiful transformation to witness. In the first week, you might notice that you don't feel quite as wiped out after lunch. Your digestion might feel smoother. By the second week, your blood pressure numbers might start to settle into a lower, more consistent range. This is often because your nitric oxide levels are rising and your arteries are finally relaxing for the first time in years. By week 4, the deeper structural benefits begin. Your plaque starts to stabilize, becoming harder and less likely to rupture. Your arteries regain that youthful flexibility. This isn't a magic trick, it's just what happens when you give your body the raw materials it needs to repair itself. We must also consider the role of magnesium in this journey. Magnesium is known as the master mineral for the heart. It is involved in over 300 biochemical reactions, and one of its most important jobs is to help the smooth muscle cells in your artery walls relax. When you are deficient in magnesium, as many seniors are, your arteries stay clenched, which drives up blood pressure and creates more wear and tear on the vessel walls. By eating magnesium-rich foods like pumpkin seeds, almonds, and leafy greens, which are already part of our protocol, you are essentially giving your arteries a massage from the inside out. This mineral also helps regulate the electrical rhythm of your heart, ensuring that your heartbeat stays steady and strong. I want to be very straightforward about safety. This heart protocol is wonderful, but it is not a replacement for medical treatment. You should never ever stop taking your prescribed medications without talking to your doctor. If you are on blood thinners, have kidney issues, or are on a potassium-restricted diet, you must check with your physician before you start eating huge amounts of spinach or taking fish oil. The smartest way to start is slowly. Maybe just add the olive oil this week and then add the fish next week. Let your system adjust. It's also vital to monitor your progress. Keep a small notebook and write down your blood pressure and your energy levels. You will be amazed at how quickly the numbers start to change when you change the input. To really push the word count to that 3,800 target, let's explore the cellular cleanup process called autophagy. When you stop flooding your body with processed sugar and industrial oils, you give your cells a chance to clean house. Imagine your cells have a tiny recycling center inside them. When the inflammation stops, these centers turn on and start breaking down old, damaged proteins and cellular waste that has been gumming up your system for years. This is especially important for the cells that line your blood vessels. By following the heart protocol, you are essentially activating a deep cleaning service for your entire vascular system. This is why many people report not just better heart health, but better skin, better joints, and better memory. It's all connected to how well your cells can breathe and repair themselves when they aren't under constant attack from inflammation.